Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour. Los Angeles fire still uncontained, triggers air quality warnings and health concerns. Police warn against looting. US, UK impose new sanctions to squeeze Russia's energy sector. Global market braces for the impact. As Trump threatens annexation, Greenland raises voice for independence, says we'll talk to US. Denmark supports the idea. And mid-access diversity programs joining corporate rollback, while Biden calls the decision to scrap fact-checking shameful. And in sports, Neeraj Chopra beats Pakistan's Arshad Nadeem to be named world's best male javelin thrower of 2024 in US magazine rankings. A series of deadly wildfires continue to tear through Los Angeles, burning down hundreds of buildings and forcing thousands to flee to safety. 6 simultaneous wildfires have devastated Los Angeles County neighborhoods since Tuesday, which have killed at least 10 people over and destroyed nearly 10,000 structures. Thousands of people have suddenly become homeless, and thick smoke has prompted US officials to declare a public health emergency. Firefighters are making progress in containing the Palisades fire on the western edge of the city and the Eaton fire in the eastern foothills after fierce winds that supercharged the fires for days finally eased. In addition to the Palisades and Eaton fires, a blaze broke out near Calabasas. As fires rage, the authorities are also tackling a wave of looting in affected areas. Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden affirmed full support of the White House in response to the ongoing fires and their impact.
We still got a long way to go, as we're about to hear from the governor and others. And while the winds have died down from the time, we expect they'll remain a threat until early next week. So we're going to keep working 24/7 to support state and local officials to fully stop these fires as soon as possible.
The officials issued air quality alerts and urged people to stay indoors in areas where smoke was visible. The schools cancelled classes, and scientists warned about the fatal consequences of the wildfire smoke. Air purifiers are being sold at some stores, along with residents tapping windows to keep the smoke out of their homes. Environmental health scientists and doctors warned that particulate matter posed a hazard to people with pre-existing lung and heart conditions, as well as the elderly and children. Now, the United States and Britain on Friday imposed new sanctions targeting Russia energy sector, including Russian oil majors Gazprom Neft and Surgut Neftegas. The UK's shipping sanctions prohibit the vessel's movement and access to some British ports, and this move aims to give Kyiv and Donald Trump's incoming team leverage to reach a deal for peace in Ukraine and to cut Russia's revenues. The sanctions are part of a broader effort, as the Biden administration has furnished Ukraine with $64 billion in military aid since the invasion, including $500 million this week for air defense missiles and support equipment for fighter jets. And US President Joe Biden said that new sanctions will substantially raise gas prices and would have profound effect on Russia's economy and reduce Putin's war chest.
The sanctions are imposed today because they will have profound effect on the growth of the Russian economy and make it more difficult for Putin to conduct his wars. It is probable that gas prices could increase as much as 3-4 cents a gallon, but it's going to have a more profound impact on Russia's ability to continue to act in the way it's acting in the conduct of war.
And the announcement comes just 10 days before Biden is due to step down and puts President-elect Donald Trump's incoming team leverage to reach a deal for peace in Russia-Ukraine conflict. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky thanked his U.S. counterpart Joe Biden for his unwavering support. The Biden administration has been steadfast in its support for Ukraine, announcing almost $6 billion in new military and budget assistance last month ahead of Trump's return. Biden has raced to provide as much aid to Kiev as possible ahead of President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration on January 20th, amid fears the Republican will slash support for the U.S. ally once in power. And after the announcement of the United States and Britain on sanctions against Russia's energy sector, global oil price jumped over 3%, with Brent crude nearing $80 a barrel. As a document mapping out the sanctions circulated among traders in Europe and Asia, as Russia pumps around 10% of global oil supply, the sanctions would cause severe disruption to Russian oil trade to its biggest buyers like India and China. The U.S. Treasury rescinded a provision that had exempted the intermediation of energy payments from sanctions on Russian banks. The sanctions should cost Russia billions of dollars per month if sufficiently enforced. All right, we'll go across to New Delhi. DD India's Akshay Dongre has more information on this. He is joining us live. Akshay, Democratic administration billed the new sanctions as the most significant to date against Moscow. UK also has slapped sanctions on Russian energy firms. Japan the other day. Tell us, how big are these sanctions and impact it is going to have in global markets?
Well, it remains to be seen that the exact impact that it is going to cause as far as the global markets are concerned. But the signs have already become clear that the crude oil prices have started to rise already. Especially when we talk about Europe, that is mostly reliant on the resources coming in from Russia, especially gas. To keep the houses warm, especially if you look at the Scandinavian parts of the country. But you look at Sweden, you look at Finland, you look at other countries in the Scandinavian region that heavily rely on the gas coming in from Russia to keep the economy functional. And besides the Scandinavian parts, other countries as well, including major economies of the European continent, are reliant on the Russian energy resources. And despite the sanctions, many of the countries were, importing the Russian gas or crude oil from the country. So their economies are going to have a significant impact. But the decision that has been taken by the U.S. Also is under question because we have seen the president-elect Donald Trump has already said that the current Democratic administration should not be taking any major decision before Donald Trump, comes back to the White House. In fact, he has been questioning all the decisions that have been taken by the Democratic government because they know that they are going to be replaced by now the Republican one, and Donald Trump will be the president. The kind of decisions that are being taken are also being questioned because they are being taken in a hassled manner, especially with the US and UK teaming up as far as the criticism is concerned coming in from the Republican President-elect Donald Trump. We have both Prime Minister Starmer and President Biden being under fire from the Republican Party as far as the issues in both the countries are concerned. So it seems that this is more of a domestic decision as well that has been taken by both the countries to have a last decision as far as the crisis is concerned. But it remains to be seen that whether these decisions will stand once Donald Trump comes back to office.
Right. Akshay, Biden has levied new sanctions against Russia, but like you're saying, it's up to Trump whether to keep them or scrap them, who will take charge in 9-10 days time. But any administration wishing to reverse the new sanctions will have to notify Congress and give Congress the ability to take a vote of disapproval. Is this the procedure?
Well, yes, exactly, Abhishek. When you talk about the procedure to reverse the sanctions, going to take a long time as far as the new administration and have sufficient reasons to reverse the sanctions, have approval from the Congress as well. So all that is going to take some time, and that is something that the Biden administration is aware of. So we will have to see how the entire procedure is going to go about now once the once Donald Trump comes back to office, and the decision is taken on the sanctity of the sanctions, the decision that are being taken at the last leg of the democratic government. So let's wait and watch about what happens to these sanctions, to these decisions that are being taken up. But when it comes to the global crude oil prices, certainly they are going to go up, and the only countries that are going to benefit from these decisions are going to be the oil exporters, and the countries that are going to impact it will be developing countries, especially countries like India that are heavily reliant on on import of crude oil. But it also remains to be seen that how precious oil exports will be impacted when it comes to these sanctions that have been put in place by the democratic government at this point.
All right, Akshay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for the updates. Moving on, as Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro took oath of office for the third term on Friday, the United States has increased rewards for his arrest to $25 million and imposed new sanctions on 8 Venezuelan officials. The U.S. President Joe Biden said that the United States is investigating the possibility of further sanctions on Venezuelan oil and gas. The U.S. sanctions on this occasion was the latest in a series of punitive steps by the outgoing Biden administration against Maduro's government in the aftermath of the July vote, which both his ruling Socialist Party and the OPEC nations' opposition claim to have won. Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. US Supreme Court critical of TikTok arguments against looming ban. Venezuela's Maduro begins new term as US raises reward for his capture. And US President Joe Biden to deliver farewell address on January 15th.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Fear and tension prevail in Greenland over the threat of annexation by the US President-elect Donald Trump. Responding to Trump's statement during a press briefing with Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen in Copenhagen, the Greenland Prime Minister Mute Gjedde urged Trump to respect Ireland's aspiration for independence.
We don't want to be Danes, we don't want to be Americans, we want to be Greenlandic, and of course it is the Greenlandic people who decide their future. I think there is a common understanding of that, and is also something everyone should respect.
And Greenland Prime Minister also expressed his desire to meet the US President-elect Donald Trump and talk over the matter, who has said he wants control over the Arctic island.
But we are ready to talk. I think we are both ready to increase our dialogue and reach out, and therefore also talk about the things that bring us together in the world we live in.
And Donald Trump, who takes office on January 20th, said this week that US control of Greenland, a semi-autonomous Danish territory, was an absolute necessity and did not rule out using military or economic action such as tariffs against Denmark to make it happen. Now, US President-elect Donald Trump has been sentenced to unconditional discharge for his conviction last year on 34 charges of business fraud related to hush money payment to Stormy Daniels during the 2016 presidential campaign. The case against Trump stems from his efforts to cover up hush money payments made to Daniels to keep quiet about the alleged affair before the 2016 election. The next report tells you how this hush money case against Trump evolved.
United States President-elect Donald Trump faced sentencing on Friday after the Supreme Court denied his last-minute appeal on Thursday to halt proceedings in his hush money case. The court noted that the judge who presided over case has already said that he plans to impose a sentence of unconditional discharge, which does not carry any jail time, fine or probation. After the ruling, Donald Trump told journalists that he respects the court's opinion and termed the ruling an attack of a political opponent. The US president-elect said he will be appealing in the case and expressed confidence that justice will prevail.
I respect the court's opinion. I think it was actually a very good opinion for us because you saw what they said, but they invited the appeal, and the appeal is on the bigger issue. So we'll see how it all works out. I think it's going to work out well.
Hush money case hogged international attention, and it goes back to the March of 2023 when Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, a Democrat, charged Trump, a Republican, with 34 counts of falsifying business records to cover up his former lawyer Michael Cohen's $130,000 payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels. This was to buy her silence just before the 2016 elections, allegedly, when Trump defeated Democrat Hillary Clinton. Prosecutors argued, given tardy nature of the allegations, the case was an attempt to corrupt the 2016 elections. Trump's attorneys claim that the immunity from prosecution granted to a sitting president should be extended to a president-elect, while Manhattan District Attorney rejected these arguments, saying that Trump was a private citizen when he was charged, tried, and convicted. It was a hard-fought battle for President-elect Trump, who pleaded not guilty. The trial played out against the extraordinary backdrop of Trump's campaign to stake claim on the White House. Trump called accusations of fraud, defamation, and sexual abuse an effort by opponents to weaponize the justice system against him and harm his re-election campaign. Interestingly, the hush money case was a mixed bag politically. Contributions to Trump's campaign surged after he was indicted in March 2023. During the trial, polling showed his standing among Republicans slipping after the guilty verdict. But the case faded after President Joe Biden's debate performance led him to drop out with much reluctance, with Vice President Kamala Harris replacing him on the Democratic ticket. This was followed by a shocking assassination attempt on Donald Trump at Butler Rally in Pennsylvania. How unlikely is it for President-elect to get jail time due to his advanced age or a lack of criminal history? Well, that's the big question. All this amidst Trump's spectacular election victory and looming inauguration, making a sentence of jail or probation even less practical or a remote possibility. Sakal Bhatt's report for DD India.
And justices at the United States Supreme Court have signaled skepticism towards a challenge brought by the video sharing platform TikTok as it seeks to overturn a law that would force the app's sale or ban it by January 19th. Friday's hearing is the latest in a legal saga that has pitted the US government against ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, in a battle over free speech and national security concerns. The law in question was signed in April, declaring that ByteDance would face a deadline to sell its US shares or face a ban. But ByteDance and TikTok users have challenged the law's constitutionality, arguing that banning the app would limit their free speech rights. During Friday's oral arguments, the Supreme Court seemed swayed by the government's position that the app enables China's government to spy on Americans and carry out covert influence operations. And following a week in which Mark Zuckerberg announced that Meta was getting rid of fact-checking, the social media giant further announced on Friday that it is dismantling its diversity, equity and inclusion or DEI programs across the company, marking another major shift in strategy ahead of Republican Donald Trump's return to the US presidency. The move comes amid what Meta describes as a changing legal and policy landscape following recent Supreme Court decisions against programs that allowed for increased diversity priorities at US universities. In an internal memo to employees, the company outlined sweeping changes, including the elimination of its diverse slate hiring approach and the disbanding of its DEI team. Other corporate giants like Amazon, Ford, McDonald's and Walmart have also pulled the plug on their DEI initiatives. Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden on Friday criticized Meta's decision to scrap its US fact-checking program on Facebook, Instagram and Threads. Describing it as shameful, Biden said that the move stands contrary to everything America is about.
It's just completely contrary to everything America is about. We want to tell the truth. We haven't always done it as a nation, but we want to tell the truth. And the idea that a billionaire can buy something and say, by the way, from this point on, we're not gonna fact check anything. And when you have millions of people going online, reading this stuff, it is, anyway, I think it's really shameful.
Now, Brazil on Friday gave social media giant Meta 72 hours to explain its fact-checking policy for the country and how it plans to protect fundamental rights on its platforms. Attorney General Jorge Messias said his office could take legal and judicial measures against Meta if it does not respond in time to an extrajudicial notice filed on Friday. Citing Meta's lack of transparency, Messias said the company will have 72 hours to inform the Brazilian government of its actual policy for Brazil. The decision to hand the deadline to Meta came after a government meeting overseen by Brazilian President Lula da Silva on the implications of the changes for Brazil. Now, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro was though sworn in for a third term in a ceremony, but it was decried as illegitimate by the opposition and many countries in the West. His challenger in July's election, Edmundo Gonzalez, recognized by the United States and much of Latin America as the legitimate winner, said Maduro had crowned himself a dictator and staged a coup. Washington and London issued a bevy of sanctions on Maduro's regime, with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken slamming the inauguration as illegitimate. In a sign of Maduro's isolation, only two prominent regional leaders, Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel and Nicaraguan ex-guerrilla Daniel Ortega, attended his inauguration. Russian President Vladimir Putin sent his congratulations. Now, Brazil's government announced on Friday that officials in neighboring Venezuela have ordered the country's shared border temporarily closed hours after Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro was sworn in for a new term after a month-long election dispute. The announcement was made in a statement from Brazil's foreign ministry, which noted that the border closure will remain in place through next Monday. Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has not officially recognized Maduro as the winner of last July's contested election, and the leftist leader did not comment on Maduro on Friday. And following threats from U.S. President-elect Donald Trump to impose tariffs, Mexico is looking for solutions. Speaking at a conference, Economy Minister Marcelo Ebrard compared the current trade tensions with previous negotiations during Trump's first term when Ebrard was Mexico's foreign minister. He reiterated that Trump's tariff threats seemed unrealistic because of the heavy impact that they would have on the U.S. economy. Trump has promised sweeping tariffs on Mexico if it does not crack down on migrant arrivals at the shared border and the entry of drugs into the U.S. Mexico is also looking to broaden its trade relationship with other countries beyond the U.S., Ebrard said, adding that the United Arab Emirates Sovereign Wealth Fund was studying investments in Mexico's semiconductor and renewable energy sectors. Now, outgoing U.S. President Joe Biden is set to deliver a farewell primetime address to the nation on Wednesday, just days before his single term in office concludes and President-elect Donald Trump assumes the presidency. It will be his fifth and likely the final Oval Office address. Joe Biden began his term in 2021. He pushed through major pieces of legislation to unleash historic infrastructure spending, along with renewing ties with the country's international allies. The last time Biden spoke from behind the Resolute desk was when he announced his decision to withdraw from the 2024 presidential elections. A Delta Airlines flight aborted its takeoff at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport this morning, leading to an emergency evacuation of passengers. 4 passengers were reported injured, with one requiring additional medical care. The aircraft was cleared quickly despite severe weather conditions and operational delays. Eyewitnesses on board described chaos as passengers waited in the snow-covered tarmac.
2025 is absolutely no joke. I was on this plane headed to Minnesota. We started taxiing to leave, and all of a sudden, this is crazy. So now we're all standing out here. We're in Atlanta, standing, waiting. I don't know what's gonna happen, if they're gonna come pick us up, but we're standing out here in the snow.
And the incident occurred on the same day. Delta predicted 2025 to be its most profitable year, driven by strong demand for premium travel. All right, now we tell you how climate change is pushing the planet's temperatures to levels seen never before. Scientists say the world has just experienced its hottest year ever, with temperatures surpassing 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels for the first time in 2024. The implications of this are far-reaching. Here's a report.
The world just experienced the first full year in which global temperatures exceeded 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial times. Scientists of the European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service have stated that human-caused climate change is pushing the planet's temperatures to levels never before experienced by modern humans.
January to July has been the warmest on record. July was the second warmest, and then the from then on has been the second or close to first around. But when you put all of those together, then the trajectory is just incredible and sums up to the warmest year on record.
The planet's average temperature in 2024 was 1.6 degrees Celsius higher than in the 1850 to 1990 period, surpassing the previous record set in 2023 by a significant margin. This creates a 2-year warming spike that scientists are still trying to fully explain. Experts warn that these rising temperatures are pushing us closer to the critical 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold. Governments worldwide have committed under the 2015 Paris Agreement to limit warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius to avoid catastrophic climate impacts. The first year above 1.5 degrees Celsius does not breach that target, which measures the average temperature over decades. But experts believe it is now clear that the Paris target will also be breached within the next 10 years.
We are steaming along a path of self-destruction. That despite all the efforts being made by a number of well-meaning countries and entities, that will remain way off the target of what is required to keep global warming to 1.5. And it's just so sad that despite all the warnings that scientists have given, that nations across the earth, many of which are based in rich countries, are continuing to fail to live up to their responsibilities.
The impacts of climate change are already being felt across the globe, with deadly wildfires in California, devastating floods in Nepal, and heat stress affecting nearly half the planet. Rising temperatures have also led to more intense storms and rainfall. Political will to address the crisis remains weak. As greenhouse gas emissions hit new record levels in 2024, the need for urgent action has never been clearer. Diptanshu Kashyap's report for DD India.
Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. 3 people lost their lives after a light aircraft caught fire and crashed near Kenya's Malindi airport. According to the Aviation Authority, the training flight to Nairobi developed mechanical issues after takeoff, though government agencies are still investigating the cause of the crash. Mexico's president on Friday launched a campaign called Yes to Disarmament, Yes to Peace to crack down the number of weapons in the country. The plan will offer cash to those who anonymously leave weapons at designated drop-off locations. Chile announced the largest seizure of methamphetamine made till date in South American country. Country's security minister said that 844 kilos of synthetic drug was seized with an estimated value of approximately $16 million. An 18th century violin made by renowned Italian craftsman Antonio Stradivari is heading for auction on February 7 with an estimate of up to a record of $18 million. Sotheby's will carry out the sale in New York as part of his Masters Week of auctions. Before the auction, the violin will also go on display in Hong Kong and New York. Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. India's national capital Delhi likely to face heavy rainfall over the weekend. Ayodhya gears up for the first anniversary of Ram Temple's Pran Pratishtha ceremony. And preparations in full swing for assembly election in India's national capital, New Delhi.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Prayagraj, one of the sacred pilgrimage sites in North India, is gearing up for the Maha Kumbh 2025, which is set to begin on the 13th of this month. A laser show was organized in Prayagraj ahead of the Mela. Grand laser and drone shows will be organized throughout the event, which will take place from 13 January to 26 February. Preparations are in full swing ahead of the gathering. Celebrated after every 12 years, the Maha Kumbh attracts millions of devotees and travellers from across the globe seeking salvation and spiritual renewal. All right, we'll go across to Prayagraj now. DD India's Siddharth Bhardwaj is joining us live from there. Good morning, Siddharth. Just 2 days for Maha Kumbh to begin. Prayagraj all set to host this grand event?
Definitely a very good morning to you, Abhishek. And, first of all, I would like to say it's a bright, sunny day here. Smiles on the faces of people for various reasons. Number one is, like I just mentioned, the bright, sunny day. People are roaming around very freely. Otherwise, it's biting cold here. We have had a word, regarding this earlier as well. It's biting cold here. So today, it's much relieved. And also, emotion and devotion, which the devotees are actually coming here. And you also just mentioned that it's just 2 days for this mega event to begin. The devotees have already started coming in. Abhishek, around 450 to 500 million people are expected to participate in this grand event. For thousands, Abhishek, the path to salvation is just a dip. And a holy dip by one is considered as moksha, a term for liberation from the cycle of life and death. So people come here, people take a dip in the holy river, which is a confluence of river Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. Now it's more about knowing oneself. This is a journey which is about knowing oneself. This is a journey in which, people and devotees who come here, know themselves better. And when you come here in this Mela, in this Kumbh Mela premises, you realize a sense of devotion. Everywhere despite so many people coming here, the calmness prevails. There's a sense of calmness even when there are so many people. So this is, this is something. But apart from that, if I talk about preparations, Abhishek, like you just mentioned, there is a 7-layer security which has been deployed here to make sure that such a large gathering, such a unique congregation, the event remains safe, secure, and peaceful. Like I just mentioned, Seven-layer security has been deployed, from fire to medical to water police personnel to underwater drones to surveillance to AI integrated systems. Everything has been put in place to make sure that this gathering remains peaceful, safe, and secure. If I talk to you about the fire safety department, then there are 2,000 plus personnel, who trained personnel, in fact, that have been deployed all over the premises. Apart from that, they have all the equipments to make sure that even if there is a case of fire, they go there and give the emergency response. They have all the equipments and different type of vehicles. There is one vehicle called ATV, which is any terrain vehicle. It is specially built to go to the muddy areas. Apart from that, Abhishek, there is a medical facility as well. There is a proper temporary hospital that has been set up with 32 OPDs, including minor operation theater, major operation theater, emergency service. And apart from that, there are different OPDs that are there. Apart from that, there is a medical facility as well. People come there. And also, this time around, the focus is making this particular grand, unique congregation a digital one. So people who are coming here, the devotees who are coming here can get themselves registered by just scanning the QR code. So basically, the thing is this, that digitalization is actually kept in focus in this particular Maha Kumbh 2025. And also the tagline of this particular festival is Divya, Bhavya and Digital, which means grand and digital. So focus is like this. I'm here at Media Center. I'm just right outside the Media Center. And if you go inside the Media Center, there are many equipments through which you can actually feel that the focus is on digital medium. For example, there is a machine, you can get yourself clicked in that machine, you scan the QR code and the picture will come to your mobile phone. You can get it print or you can just set it as your wallpaper. So so there's an ease of people are actually enjoying that digital medium. Apart from that, Abhishek, the UPI payments, which has transformed the lives of people in many ways, is actually can be seen here at every corner. Even the small vendors, Abhishek, are actually using the mode of UPI payments. The devotees who are coming here can just simply scan, even if they're buying a small chocolate, if they're buying a small anything, if they're buying, they can just simply scan and simply pay. So this is actually benefiting a lot of people here because number one, they don't have to keep so much cash in their pocket, and number two, this actually saves them from theft and anything, because it's a large congregation. But all in all, the preparations, Abhishek, are in full swing. The focus, like I said, is on digital medium, and when you come here, you feel a sense of devotion. It's everywhere, and people take dip at in the holy river, like I just mentioned, which is a confluence of Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. And despite this biting cold, this is something to watch out for, Abhishek. Despite this biting cold, people are taking dip.
It's a different vibe altogether, Siddharth. But it's a sunny day today, like you mentioned there. But cold wave has gripped most parts of North India. Tell us what special preparations have been done for the devotees. Tell us about the preparations done by the health teams to ensure public well-being during cold wave.
Definitely, like I just mentioned, Abhishek, health facilities are put in proper check so that devotees who are coming here don't have to face any problems when it comes to health. A temporary hospital has been set up. We were told by the CMO of that temporary hospital, Mr. Manoj Kaushik. He told us that there are proper facilities. People who are coming here can get themselves registered. There's an emergency room that has been set up so that in case of emergency, it's 24 hours operational. People can come here, devotees can come here, and they can just go to the emergency room if there is such condition. There are different OPDs that have been set up, and there is an X-ray room as well, Abhishek. So just in case if need comes up for any X-ray, there is an X-ray room altogether. There is a minor operation theater. There is a major operation theater. So all in all, like I just mentioned, 450 to 500 billion people are expected. The health facilities are put in place to make sure that no one has to face any health problems. People who are who have asthma, people who have any sort of problem can just go there, simply get themselves registered, and the registration process is also very simple, Abhishek. Like you just mentioned, The focus is on digital. They just have to scan the QR code and they can just get themselves registered. They can go to the doctor, get a prescription done, and there are free medicines that are available in that temporary hospital as well. So people are quite happy. We had a word with people. People are really, really happy. They said that, this mode of digitalization has made our lives easier because we are saving ourselves from standing in the queue, from long queues. We just have to scan the QR code and get ourselves registered. So it's just like that. Apart from that, Abhishek, there are tents. There are different tent cities that are set up for the devotees. They go there and they can, get themselves registered and get a tent for themselves. And this is in the Mela premises only. So then they can come here. They can just, get the tent and, they can enjoy the festival. So that's how the setup has been done.
Yes,
so all in all, the authorities leaving no stone unturned to make sure that this grand event is safe, peaceful, and secure.
Yes, Siddharth, enjoy the sunny day today, but take care of your health also. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, Siddharth Bhardwaj takes stock of the medical facilities put in place by the administration for Maha Kumbh 2025. All right, moving further, Ayodhya gears up for the first anniversary of Ram Temple's Pran Pratishtha ceremony. The Ram Janmabhoomi Temple, inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on January 22nd, 2024, marks 1 year since its operations began. Celebrations taking place from January 11th to 13th, with Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath expected to attend and inaugurate the event. The Janmabhoomi Tirth Kshetra Trust revealed that over 2 lakh devotees visited the temple on January 1st. The month of January also holds significance, with Maha Kumbh in Prayagraj expected to draw massive crowds to Ayodhya. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended his best wishes to all countrymen on the first anniversary of the consecration of Ram Lala in Ayodhya. He wrote on X, and I quote him, "This temple, built after centuries of sacrifice, penance and struggle, is a great heritage of our culture and spirituality. I am confident that this divine and magnificent Ram temple will become a great inspiration in the accomplishment of the resolution of a developed India." Unquote. He also said that I am confident that this divine and magnificent Ram temple will become a great inspiration in the accomplishment of its resolution. Weather updates now. After 2 days of sunshine, the national capital is likely to face heavy rainfall over the weekend. The Weather Observatory also stated that nights in Delhi NCR are becoming colder due to rapidly falling nighttime temperatures, while daytime temperatures remain stable. Apart from Delhi, light to moderate rain with thunder is expected in some parts of Rajasthan. Now, cold wave conditions also continue to persist in Kashmir, as the region is currently facing a 40-day period of harsh winter. The Met Department has forecast mainly dry weather in coming days, with the possibility of light rain or snow at isolated places on January 11th and 12th. All right, we'll go across to Srinagar now. DD India Shabir Dar joins us live to give us the latest updates. Shabir, cold wave continues to grip Jammu and Kashmir with snowfall. What is the forecast today and in the coming days?
Yeah, as you already said, that Kashmir is reeling under intense cold, and the Met has predicted scattered rainfall and snowfall in place of Kashmir today. And from today onwards, from tomorrow onwards, the weather will remain mostly dry. But today we're expecting fresh snowfall, particularly in higher reaches. But Met is expecting that it will have scattered, snowfall in plains also. But despite that thing, the Kashmir areas, most of the Kashmir areas, including Gulmarg, Sonmarg, and other, peripheries, are already under a blanket of, white pristine, giving Kashmir, a wonderland, winterly wonderland look. But despite that, as tourists are here, people are enjoying. There are some issues people are facing. because of this interstellar and harsh winter this time around. We already have said that in previous bulletins that government is making every effort to ensure that basic facilities, including running water and electricity, is provided to people uninterrupted. But the guardians do force authorities to go for the power outages, power cuts, and the freezing water supply lines is posing a challenge for the authorities to ensure normal water supply lines to the people.
Shabir, also, what about the tourism? Has it increased because of the snowfall, or people are avoiding to go at the higher reaches as weather can change anytime?
No. Actually, I think the huge snowfall this time, the sufficient snowfall this time has actually given a momentum to the winter tourism. Now we are only seeing that the footfall in Gulmarg, in Sonmarg, in Palgam is increasing day by day. Remember, in 2 days from now, the Sonmarg will become the all-weather tourist destination because a huge tunnel is being inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister on 13th, which will give a huge impetus to winter tourism because Sonmarg will also be all-weather tourist destination. So Gulmarg, where a lot of skiers are there, which is an international skiing destination. Skiers from across globe have gathered there. The local guys who go for the skiing are also there. So in a way, huge rush in tourist spots in Kashmir, giving providing a huge opportunities, business opportunities for people related to the winter.
All right, Shabir, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for getting us the latest from Srinagar. Let's now take a look at other stories making news today. As Assembly election in India's national capital New Delhi nears, preparations are in full swing. Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena issued an official notification for the state assembly elections, paving way for the nomination of the candidates. The voting for all 70 assembly seats in Delhi will be held in a single phase on February 5th. The election results will be declared after counting of votes on February 8th. India's Union Home Minister Amit Shah will chair a regional conference on drug trafficking and national security in New Delhi on Saturday. The conference aims to address the growing concern of drug trafficking and its impact on national security. Ahead of India's Republic Day 2025, defence personnel participated in the full dress rehearsal of the Republic Day parade at Kartavya Path on Saturday. Republic Day, observed on January 26, marks the adoption of India's constitution and the country's transition to a republic in 1950. India commemorates the death anniversary of Lal Bahadur Shastri, the second Prime Minister of the country, on January 11. He was a leader shaped by traditional political methods who was an experienced freedom fighter and later developed into a capable head of the biggest democracy in the world. All right, we are slipping into a very short break. On the other side, more stories. Keep watching DD India News Hour. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. India's Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal interacted with the food and beverage industry stakeholders on the sidelines of Indus Food 2025. Piyush Goyal said that India has the potential to reach $100 billion of combined exports in the food and beverage, agriculture and marine products industries in the next 5 years. The minister's statement highlights the significant achievement of the 8th edition of Indus Food 2025, emphasizing the positive impact it has on the government. He mentioned that government has allowed 100% foreign direct investment in the food and beverage sector. The International Monetary Fund will forecast steady global growth and continuing disinflation when it releases an updated World Economic Outlook on January 17th. IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva said the US economy was doing quite a bit better than expected, although there was high uncertainty around the trade policies of the administration of President-elect Donald Trump that was adding to headwinds facing the global economy and driving long-term interest rates higher. In October, the IMF raised its 2024 economic growth forecast for US, Brazil and Britain, but cut them for China, Japan and the Eurozone, citing risk from potential new trade wars, armed conflicts and tight monetary policy. And despite the US Fed signaling rate cut at a slower pace amid sticky US inflation and a strong labor market, the gold rate registered gains for the third week in a row. Gold futures contract on MCX for February 2025 expiry finish at 78,400 per 10 grams, logging around 1.40% rise in 1 week. After finishing at the 78,400 mark, the precious yellow metal registered around 2.15% gain. In the international market, the spot gold price finished at $2,690 per ounce. All right, sports updates now. We'll start with India's Neeraj Chopra has been named as the best male javelin thrower in the world in 2024 by globally renowned American magazine Track and Field News. Neeraj settled for silver medal at the Paris Olympics 2024 after losing gold medal to Pakistan's Arshad Nadeem. Along with that, Neeraj defeated two-time world champion Anderson Peters of Grenada for the top spot in 2024 rankings. Nadeem was ranked 5th as he competed in only one event in 2024 besides the Olympic Games. He finished 4th in Paris Diamond League. Neeraj Chopra was also the top ranker in men's javelin throw rankings of 2023. And India's men's double pair of Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty will face South Korea's Kim Won-ho and Seo Seung-jae in the semi-finals of the Malaysia Open badminton tournament on Saturday. The Indian duo defeated the Malaysian pair of Yu Sin-ong and A Ye Teo 26-24, 21-15 in 49 minutes. In the first game, Indian pair took an early lead in a tight 28-minute contest. The Malaysian pair fought back in the second game, leading for most of the time until the interval. However, the Indian pair levelled the score at 11-11 and then seized the lead after the break to book their spot in the semis. Cricket now, and the Indian women's cricket team beat Ireland by 6 wickets in the first women's one-day international match in Gujarat on Friday. Ireland's Gabby Lewis won the toss and opted to bat. Ireland put 238 runs on the board in their 50 overs, with captain Lewis top scoring with 92 runs. However, India chased down the target in just 34.3 overs. India's skipper Smriti Mandhana gave India an impressive start, scoring a quick-fire 41. Pratika Rawal held the fort for the hosts in the middle overs and scored a brilliant 89. Tejal took India to the finish line and remained unbeaten on 53. With this, India has taken a 1-0 lead in the 3-match series. Now, Indian pacer Varun Aaron has announced his retirement from all forms of cricket. Aaron, who announced his red ball retirement last year, has ended his white ball career as well following Jharkhand's exit from the ongoing Vijay Hazare Trophy. Aaron made the announcement on social media and thanked the BCCI and his state team, Jharkhand State Cricket Association. Aaron played 9 Tests and 9 ODIs for India, taking 29 wickets across 2 formats. His last match for India was against South Africa in a Test match 9 years ago. Now, former Bangladesh captain Tamim Iqbal confirmed his retirement from international cricket on Friday through a social media post. Tamim's announcement comes after the Bangladesh selection panel asked him to make himself available for the upcoming Champions Trophy. Tamim made his international debut in February 2007 in an ODI against Zimbabwe in Harare. He soon made his mark across formats, establishing himself as one of the most reliable batters in the Bangladesh team. The left-handed batter is the second highest run scorer for Bangladesh in international cricket, only behind Mushfiqur Rahim. Tamim also has the most international hundreds for a Bangladeshi batter across all formats. The Court of Arbitration for Sports said on Friday that world number 1 Yannick Sinner's doping hearing will start on April 16 this year. Italian Sinner failed 2 drug tests in March for low levels of the anabolic androgenic steroid clostebol, but was cleared by an independent tribunal in August after it accepted his explanation of unintentional contamination. However, the World Anti-Doping Agency appealed that decision at CAS in September, leaving the Italian still facing the possibility of being banned for up to 2 years. Earlier on Friday, Sinner said he was still in the dark about the proceedings as he's preparing for the Australian Open title defence in Melbourne. A major contemporary circus event, the International Circus Arts Biennial, kicks off this Saturday in southern France, with half the shows performed by women in a field long dominated by men. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.